USC Games Demo Day, and thanks everyone for coming down. We hope you have a great time here today. My name is Tracy Fullerton, and I'm the director of USC Games, which is a really exciting collaboration between the School of Cinematic Arts and the Viterbi School of Engineering. We think it's a really unique opportunity for students to work together across disciplines, and we think that this is a really important thing that prepares them for what is one of the most cross-disciplinary industries out there in the world, and also a great industry full of opportunities. So we're really excited to have all of these students here today. I just wanted to mention that this year's projects, this year's class, had a record high participation from students not only in cinema and engineering, but also from across disciplines, including animation and music, writing and critical studies, business. So what's great to see happening is that the campus-wide involvement is starting to be a big part of our program. I'd like to actually bring up the instructors of the Advanced Games class to talk to you a little bit about what the process is that these students go through. So if you guys wouldn't mind coming up to the stage. Laird Malvin, and Matt Whiting.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. And before we get too much further, sorry Tracy, I do want to thank the awesome staff from the PR team, the tech staff. Everybody really helps produce this show. You're going to see the students' work, and that will stand for itself, and it's awesome. But actually behind the scenes has been a whole host of people that have made it possible to be here today and in the gallery. So just give a quick hand for everyone's help. Allow us to sit in the seat and see stuff on the screen and eat food. So that's the important part. Just a few words on the way the class starts. I'll hand it off and we'll get the narrative through the three of us here. But this program, as the students know, and many people know, starts in the spring with pitches. So the projects you're about to see are not just, have some white paper and, we'll see you, 6 months later, 8 months, 9 months later. They are actually thought through by small teams. They are pitched an industry panel, and thank you for any industry representatives who helped select these games that are here today or advise the teams. And then those are then judged, and like a real green light in the game industry or the film industry or any kind of creative process. And so what you're going to see here is really the result of over a year of thinking. In some cases, more than a year of thinking, because they started actually in intermediate classes, or the ideas were percolating when they played the intro game when you arrive on campus and whatnot. So look at these with that light, that you're seeing many, many, many hours and thoughts and months and sleepless nights behind the scenes here. And with that, let me hand it over to Scott Easley.
Thank you, Laird. I've been impressed with the creativity and the variety of the worlds that the students have brought out over the last year. And I want to draw particular attention to the fact that when you say, let's make a game, it does not spring fully formed from the first round of development. Now, this process being a year long allows the students the first semester to put together their prototype just to see if they can get their idea together, and they do, and it works. But the next semester, they have to pull back and retool the way they look at it so that they can not just add more, but take the mechanics that exist and twist and turn them and evolve them so that you've got a shadow game, a world-shaping god, or a comical tower defense that evolves into an hours-long gameplay experience. So to borrow from cinema, these teams should not just be credited with writing, but the arduous task of rewriting. And so the world you see here today, the magic, the involvement, is not just many, many late hours, but also rewriting until the teams get their worlds perfect. And so the worlds are here today for us to enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, Matt Whiting. Not much to add. Happy to be part of the program. A lot of creativity out there. You're going to see a lot of really great product out of creative minds working very hard for the past year. So I'm proud to be here and looking forward to seeing it.
one logistical detail is, so we're going to look at the games here, and then we want you all to come back to the gallery and play the games. You probably came through the cinema complex to get here, but just in case, there'll be folks who can lead you along back the path to the cinema complex, and the gallery is what you're looking for. So come play the games. There's nothing better than getting your hands on the games and giving the students your honest feedback from actually playing and working with the game. So, and the one last thing as I will say is we have a couple of other shows. There's a lot of creativity here in USC Games. There's a couple other shows if you happen to have a chance to check out. Going on tonight after Demo Day, we have the industry night for our MFA thesis projects, which are on stages 1 and 2 here in the cinema complex. And going on tomorrow, we have the graduate games at the Viterbi School of Engineering, which will be held on the Egg Building just off campus. So if you're around, please come and see all these other wonderful projects as well. And with that, let's move on to Elementera.
Hey everybody. Elementera is a fully immersive virtual reality world-building sandbox experience where you get to be a nature spirit and learn how to create a world by shaping the land and summoning plants. My name is Max Pitsley. I'm the director of the project, and these are my co-founders, Luke Patterson, lead engineer, Camille Kay, art director, and Xander Morgan, usability lead. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the current state of virtual reality, what was once a clunky lo-fi tool in military and research spaces is becoming a new digital media. And over the past few years, a number of companies have started creating consumer accessible technologies that are affordable and easy to use. We wanted to join this virtual renaissance and create something native to this new emerging medium, something that couldn't have been created for desktop or mobile or console. And in doing so, discover new, undiscovered, canonical design concepts for the new medium. The concept for Elementera grew from the idea that with this new technology, we could allow people, players, to be in a world that they are creating simultaneously, to make tangible that childhood experience of playing pretend and creating your own worlds. And the mechanics of the game came from the notion that using these new tools, we could give ourselves superpowers, do whatever we want, maybe psychically reach out and change the world around us. And what you're seeing tonight is a combination of all of those ideas into an experience that is crafted to give you a sense of authorship and mastery. So without further ado, we will begin the tour. As many of our users are new to VR, we want to bring them into the experience gently, starting with a simple star field. If our video switcher works here.
My blessed child, the time has come for you to take up the ancient mantle of our kind, the creation of worlds.
There is nothing to fear. The power you need lies within yourself. That is Aisha, a sanctuary created by the first of our kind, a testimony to the power of our people.
Like those before us, your father and I came to be who we are today with the help of Aisha. Now it is your turn to do the same.
We are celestial beings, but in order to learn Aisha's ways, we must take on physical forms.
This is the body we've created for you.
To synchronize your soul with its physical form, raise your hands to cover your eyes.
So, hi everyone. This is the player's avatar. So we wanted to come up with something that was familiar and humanoid, but also something that was new and magical enough to fit this brand new world of Aisha. In addition, we wanted to make this particular design gender neutral, so people with various identities could feel comfortable in this new virtual space.
This intro that you've seen and these characters here are the lore of Elementara. We realized that in such a sandbox free play game where the player has a lot of authorship, a linear narrative would have been too restrictive. So we stuck to just the we stuck to just the right amount of a basis to enter them into that world. The player begins in the caldera, a cave-like area that focuses their attention to their immediate surroundings. This is the next small step in easing them into the world of Elementara. As they're in the caldera, Mother Moon and Father Sun, who you saw earlier, continue to give them instruction on how to use their powers. We've turned that off for the presentation because we think it's something you should really experience firsthand. The first thing that the player learns to do is to move in this world. Unlike in traditional games where you can use your joysticks to turn and strafe, that doesn't work here. We've really parted from those conventions because a lot of those things will feel sickening in VR. The idea being every level of abstraction you have between what you are doing physically and what your eyes see your body doing can lead to simulation sickness. To prevent that, we've put only one piece of abstraction in, which is moving forward and backward on the joystick. Otherwise, Xander would wander away from the computer. But as you can see, he's turning physically. The movement is completely based on where the hands are in relation to the body. So if he wanted to fly, for example, he would put his hands above his head and push forward. Now the staff and palette are the main tools of the creator. The palette lives on the left hand and can be stowed or retrieved with a flick of the wrist. This is the sort of canonical design that we set out to discover. Traditional menus, graphical user interfaces, they don't work in VR. They're two-dimensional, and if you stick them in front of your face, you get claustrophobic. So we had to make everything diegetic, set up physical metaphors, such as the metaphor of sampling paints from a palette with a brush. The way that the player can change the power that they're using, then, is to take their staff and dip it into one of the icons on their palette. All of these powers here will be explained in more detail by our engineering lead and co-designer, Luke.
Hello, everybody. So the first thing that the player learns is movement, but the second is sculpting. Sculpting serves a couple of player experience goals. First of these is ownership through free creative expression, and the other is an almost telekinetic connection with the planet. So our sculpting mechanic is based on the snake hook tool from 3D modeling. And the snake hook tool provides the ability to freeform sculpt in any direction. On the technical end, this required a voxel engine. All of the voxel engines available for Unity had terrible performance. So we ended up just picking one and then optimizing it over the course of the year. And we learned a lot of techniques that we wouldn't have otherwise. Now, the sculpting mechanic is very rewarding, but there's also a destruction mechanic, which is to tunnel. And many players actually find erasing more enjoyable than sculpting even. So, tunneling provides you the ability to discover caverns hidden beneath the earth, as well as water. Now, the next mechanic that you can perform on Aisha is planting and growing. This mechanic serves the experience goals of every action having a pleasant and rewarding reaction. For example, with sculpting, the rumble and flow of terrain, and with plants, the bloom with which they pop into the world. Now, all of our mechanics have a couple layers, because layers of depth add to the player's feeling of mastery and therefore their authorship over what they create. So, for example, if Xander creates the same type of plant but on a different type of terrain, it creates a completely different plant set.
So, working in VR posed some interesting challenges for the art team as well. For one, we had to deal with a really high high frame rate requirement. For this experience to run smoothly and enjoyably for the player, it needed to run at about 150 frames per second in total. So we also had to account for the fact that players such as Xander can create thousands of plants and animals throughout their playtest time. In order to be efficient as we could, we decided on a low poly look. For one, we liked the aesthetic and we felt it fit the world that we wanted to make. But it also helped because it was practical. Also, in order to help with performance, we decided to use a technique that utilized a single texture for the majority of Aisha. This meant that plants, animals, and many of the assets are all mapped to a single texture grid with all the flat colors that encompass the world. A lot of normal tricks that you would use in game development art didn't work for us though, such as normal maps or foliage planes. Most of these didn't work because when you're in VR, they look flat and rather unconvincing. This is mostly because players can get really close to all the assets that you put into the world, and we quickly realized that shape mattered most. That meant that every single leaf that you see had to have some amount of volume in order to really be read and feel comfortable. The designs that you're looking at now are inspired, of course, by the strange plants and animal on our own planet Earth. But we took it a step further, combined some designs, warped some proportions, and originally crafted life forms that we feel are uniquely fantastical and fit the world that we had imagined. One of the great things about VR is that it can transport the player to completely new places that maybe they hadn't even imagined before, and we wanted to make the most of this opportunity. To do this, we decided on a specific goal to toe the line between comfortable and familiar with the plants, as well as new and fascinating and exciting. Most of our players are first-time VR users. This was all made possible through the collaborative efforts of students at USC, CalArts, LCAD, and some international artists as well from France and Portugal.
Now that we've spent a little time shaping this planet, you can tell that there's some inhabitants wandering around the world. Now, I mentioned earlier delightful gameplay. Well, delightful for us meant non-confrontational. Most games use confrontation as a way to motivate their players, but we wanted to motivate players in another way. So we tried to motivate them by giving them an audience for whom they're creating. Most of our creatures follow a simple modular design, and they exist more as decoration than anything else. And they're each associated with an individual plant or biome.
So the exception to this decorative purpose would be the Taupi. These are the little humanoid critters you see down there by the wispy trees that are the natural inhabitants of Aisha, and they're born from Xander's and any other players' creative powers by growing plants. A lot of players feel connected to these tiny little humanoid creatures and feel compelled to build shelters, oases, or forests. These creatures and the Taupi all create an extra layer of vibrance in a fascinating world, as well as to give an additional sense of purpose for the player.
This is because the Taupi react specifically to the player's actions. Each of their behaviors is centered around a player action. So they really do feel like they're part of the world. And we also have the creatures reacting to time of day. Now, the AI presented some very interesting technical challenges. Mainly this was traversal. So we have a fully spherical planet, and this presents some challenges because our creatures have to be able to move naturally over incredibly uneven terrain on any point of the planet. So instead of putting together a pathfinding algorithm, which was way out of scope, instead we worked on making an adaptive, moment-to-moment pathing algorithm that works on almost any terrain. There are some dynamic systems beyond AI that add a really kind of living feel to the world. And when we were coming up with these, we really wanted to focus on preserving authorship, because if we change the user's creation, then it's not really their creation. So there are no natural disasters on Aisha. So instead, we focused on making weather systems and meteor showers, things that wouldn't destroy or create on the planet. Instead, they just create a setting for the player's creation.
And this setting is topped off by the sky and atmosphere that we've created for Aisha. And of course, these are inspired by the colors you would see in our earthly sunrises and sunsets, but we boosted the intensity and the vibrance to fit the mood for Aisha. We decided to use bold colors, dynamic lighting as you've seen, and smooth transitions to really cement a delightful and unified backdrop for the player's experience. In addition, these day-night cycles have really helped with player immersion as well. Some players have enjoyed this creative space for upwards of a half an hour or more and felt comfortable and happy with it. So, also what lends to immersion is the space, and that would be the planet. We realized that when we first put players into Aisha, but had no external or pre-existing Earth formations, they actually ran into something that was akin to writer's block. They had no idea what to do or what the potential of what they could do was. So in order to account for this and to fix this, we have decided to include a partially pre-sculpted planet. So it helps to create moments of discovery, as well as to help inform them on what they can do, and perhaps, and hopefully inspire them to really push their creative limits during their time in Aisha.
We're gonna get Xander out of the game here.
Hi. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the rig that we developed for the game. Over the course of a year of playtesting, we've discovered a lot of things regarding developing for VR that are different from the traditional medium. When making a traditional video game and a virtual reality game are very similar in a lot of ways, but there are some subtle key design differences in there. For example, when we first started, we started out with testers sitting down in a chair and playing the game. And what we noticed is that a lot of people would get motion sickness because of the disconnect between them sitting down and playing a game in the real world and standing and flying and walking and turning in the virtual world. So to address this, we made these rigs that hung all the cables for the Rift and for controllers and etc. above the player so that they can actually turn and stand in the real world just as they do in the virtual world. After doing this, we noticed almost a total decline of motion sickness in all playtesters.
Thank you all for your time and your patience. We couldn't have done this without the tremendous help of everybody involved, our numerous advisors and our team. One thank you that I'd like to give out tonight is to Richard LaMartian. A year ago, he sat down with a few of us and convinced us to face our fears and go through with the pitch. Thank you so much. We've taken the lesson to heart and are taking it to another level by facing the next challenge. We're creating a startup called Freeform Labs, which will act as a vehicle to make the most out of Elementara and bring it to the world, make it published so that anybody can create and share using it. So let's get Team Terra up here. This has been a life-changing journey, and I just can't say how much it means that I've gotten to enjoy it with all of you. And I think I speak for all four of us when I say that wherever all of you go in the future, we look forward to continuing to work together as professionals. So thank you, everybody. This has been Elementara. We're really eager to demo for you this evening. Let's build some worlds together.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your patience as we work through some technical difficulties. I assure you it wasn't the VR. Just going to say that. Those of you who know me know why I say that. So while we're striking this set and bringing up the next team, which will be Vanishing Point, talk a little bit about what really everyone sort of referred to a little bit. Our goal in this class, and this is a class, so don't forget that, is to make sure that when you leave the class, you know how to work together as a team. Our first mission is that. We want to see amazing things up there on screen. Oh, there's like Windows Explorer, which was done by a team, a huge team at Microsoft, and many people beforehand. Because when you get out into the world, When you go to form the company, if you're going to form a company or you go to work at a company, you're going to work with other people. And one of the things that we constantly strive to say, and to make sure that everyone understands, which is why we push prototyping, which is why we push user testing, is that this is interactive experiences and entertainment. Interactive defined means you have to do something with it. It is exchange, it is actions between different people, or between a designer and a programmer and an artist and a user. And so everything has to be a collaborative thought. How do I work together? Oh, we ran into a problem. We can't get a voxel engine to run fast enough. How do we solve that? We work on it together. We reach out to industry team members, or industry mentors who can help us with that. We reach out to each other, we reach out to other students. And so that's our first goal, and it's one of the things that we talk about really in every class. The second goal, of course, is that they can realize their visions and dreams together because they live these things. Believe me, if you smelt the labs at the end of the semester, you will know that they're living them. So anyway, that's a little insight, and it looks like Ryan's telling me that we're good to go, so I'm going to hand it over the vision to the Vanishing Point team.
Hello, does this work? Oh, hey. Hi, guys. Getting started. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Sandweiss, and I am the lead producer and co-creator of Vanishing Point.
I'm Max Cohen, co-creator and team lead of Vanishing Point.
Vanishing Point is a first-person 3D puzzle platformer that focuses on allowing players to resize the everyday objects around them using supernatural perspective manipulating abilities. It was developed for PC using the Unreal 4 engine with game controller support. Let's get started. Let me be the first to welcome you to Meadow Hills, a mental institution famous for dealing with peculiar neurological and mental illnesses. The new home for our player character, Rose, who suffers from a unique and peculiar neurological disorder that we're going to soon see.
God, my head. I need a pill.
As you can see, Rose suffers from visions of the changing the size of objects' perspective around her. She struggles to control these visions every day, and as a result, has migraines and headaches.
Hey, are you alright, newbie? I need to hear that you're okay, otherwise I'm supposed to get the nurses to come check on you. I'm Daisy, and you must be
Rose.
Rose. Welcome to Meadow Hills, safe haven for the neurologically disabled. Dr. Suresh will be so excited.
More doctors already?
Oh, but you have to meet him. I used to think just like you, and look what I can do now.
How did you do that?
Follow me and I'll show you.
So now we've met Daisy, Rose's new roommate, and someone who seems to suffer from the same neurological condition that Rose does.
Allow me to present the man who will change your life.
Dr. Krunal Suresh, resident electrotherapist. We must get started immediately.
Put that wristband on the desk and we'll show you everything.
So this level is going to serve as a tutorial to our player to first of all understand how the scaling mechanic works, and also demonstrate the rules of the hospital and how to progress from room to room.
This thing feels like it's crunching my arm.
Only temporary.
That thing is the output device. You know those hallucinations you have where everything just changes sizes? You can control that now. Try it on anything in the library. Just go up to it and resize it.
The output device. My personal triumph. The device physically manifests your disorder in a controlled fashion in real life. Anything that you see highlighted is resizable.
This all seems impossible. I never thought I'd get anything that could help.
So, as you can see, now just about every object available to us in this room is resizable. While selecting the object and moving closer to it will make it smaller, but if we select the object and move away from it, we'll make it a lot bigger. This mechanic was originally inspired by a neurological disorder called Alice in Wonderland syndrome. One of the primary symptoms being the distortion of size and perspective of a person around them who's suffering from it. A lot like the issue Alice had when she was in Wonderland, when she'd take the different potions. We thought that this was a super interesting idea, and we wanted to make a game and a mechanic that was kind of inspired from these ideas.
Not all doors open automatically. You might have to use that pressure pad to open this door.
So here we wanted to teach the player a couple of new things. First of all, that not all doors are going to open automatically, and we're going to have to do specific things to make sure that we can progress to the next room. In this case, get that pressure pad to push down all the way. And the second thing is that the physical properties of an object will also scale with the object itself. So, for example, if we place this smaller crate right down on the piston here, it's going to compress a little bit, but not all the way. But if we pick it up and resize it just a bit, it's now heavier. Well, if it doesn't totally collide, and then it'll open up the door and allow us to progress into the next room.
This door uses electricity to operate. Try searching around for something to power it.
So now that everything is resizable, we kind of challenge our players to look for specific objects that are going to be able to help them solve future puzzles. For example, we have this little casing here, that we need to try and figure out what can fit into it. Yeah, Max, I don't think a clock is going to do it. You're going to have to look for something else. I mean, no, probably not. Hey, is that a battery up there? Yeah, let's grab that and see if that works. But I think it's a little small, so before we put it in that casing, let's make it a little bit bigger, huh? Now, we realized that with our scaling mechanic, it's pretty hard to figure out if the object is growing or shrinking. So that's why we've tried to provide a myriad of context clues to make sure that the player knows what's going on. First and foremost is our UI. Our UI will tell a player when an object is selectable, when it's being currently held onto, when it's growing, when it's shrinking, and finally when you can't scale it anymore due to object collision. On top of that, we've also taken use of the lovely Unreal 4 Engine's shadows and lighting engine, and we're going to provide the player with dynamic shadows and dynamic audio that's going to show the player both how to indirectly hear and see how large the object is without directly hearing and seeing it. Or directly seeing it. You can hear it. Looks like that door is locked. Let's use some of the things we learned from earlier to advance to the next area. So here, we wanted to teach the player a couple of new things. First of all, that they can throw objects, and that glass is breakable, well, theoretically. And then we also wanted to reinforce again that physical properties of the objects will change based on the size of the object. So if we make this cube a little bit bigger, we can probably break the glass a lot easier.
I want to help you continue testing. When can we start?
Just a moment, Rose. I'm being summoned outside. Daisy, help Rose get out of there, would you?
Sure thing. Rose, do you see that battery over there?
Yeah?
Who are you? I do have clearance to be in here.
Ow! Ow!
You don't fail me! Fight Daisy!
And so there you have it, our inciting incident of the game. Daisy's been kidnapped, and it's now up to Rose to find her and figure out where she's gone. Just a quick check. Can you guys hear everything okay? You see, we're all good? Good. Just wanted to make sure. So before we get on to this next section here, just want to let you know we're going to skip ahead so you can get a good idea of what our game's about. But in between this past level we finished and the next one we're going to, Rose has been finding old audio tapes in the hospital detailing specific failed experiments that Dr. Suresh has had with his different patients trying to solve their neurological disorders with brain science experiments. It's a little wacky, and the Warden Myers has also been listening in. So you're going to hear one of these tapes now to get some context on the next room.
Test number 37 of the R-Proof device. Today we're going to be trying something new. The stasis field.
Doctor, I
Here we introduce a new mechanic to our players, the stasis field. Inside the stasis field, as you learned, all objects lose physics, so they virtually float. But because Rose has the Outlook device on her hand, she's able to successfully navigate without getting stuck. The stasis field provides a new level of verticality to our players, allowing them to kind of stack furniture and objects they find in weird and wacky ways.
Doctor, you must understand. This is our last chance of success. There's no more money and no more eligible patients. This one is hardly eligible as is. What is she, 12?
Yes, well, of course. You must understand, I don't have much confidence in her ability to control her disorder. Such a youngster.
Ah! Dr. Shrek, look what I can do!
Daisy!
My. What? This is wonderful! What miles? She's a natural.
Easy, is it? There are a lot of people who will want to meet you. The Secretary of Defense, for a start.
What is it? Surely this can wait till we've had time for us to settle in.
She will leave for TC immediately. Be a big girl, Daisy. You just might save this hospital.
So, one of the things we tried to do with Vanishing Point beyond the gameplay was provide a humorous and engaging story. And so with that, we thought that the audio plays or the audio cutscenes were a great way to kind of go back in time and provide us a lot of backstory on Rose and Daisy in the hospital, but at the same time provide a lot of context clues for the player. For a good example is this past room, the stasis field. We had Dr. Suresh describing it from one of his own failed experiments, but at the same time, it was providing great context for the player and how mechanically it might function and they can use it. So let's talk a little bit about the world of Vanishing Point.
This is too weird. These puzzles led me straight to the cafeteria.
So throughout our designing process, we tried to put our player and our world in unique environments that you may or may not find inside a mental institution. Along with that, we tried to make sure that would give our designers a great space to build and create in, and find some new ways to resize and think in a different perspective. You know what I mean, huh? So, yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
And here we are, energy supplying to the entire facility, our astounding cafeteria.
Doctor, I'd hope for a tour pertaining more to the hospital's scientific interests.
It's hard to perform experiments on an empty stomach, isn't it, Mr. Chancellor? Regardless, this will surely recognize the genius of our best prevention methods.
Perhaps if we can speak to Fort Myers, their young assistant, Daisy.
Behold, the stasis field!
I really don't think that this is up to our...
Alas, Mr. Traviston, you'll need the other device to be able to move through that entrapment. Now, proceed to Warden Myers about this unexpected tour.
So there's something pretty cool about having a giant stasis field in the cafeteria room. I don't know, we thought that was awesome just with the different plates resizing and stuff like that. But let's talk a little bit more about the art styles we were just showcasing. So the art style is heavily influenced by the graphic work of Jamie Hewlett and Mike Mignola. We knew we were approaching a rather touchy subject. And with that, we decided to kind of approach it, the characters and the environments, in both kind of a lighthearted manner. So that's why the characters and the environments themselves are a little off-kilter in proportion and perspective. Furniture is asymmetric, there's a lot of graphic shapes, and even Rose herself, as you can kind of see here, is very disproportionate and kind of asymmetrical. And we felt that this was a great way to kind of approach it in a lighthearted manner and make it a bit off-kilter without, being necessarily attacking the general stigma that comes with mental illness in video games.
The stasis field must be sucking up the power. Maybe there's another elevator downstairs.
So, There's a lot of other subtle things we dealt with when we were working on this game, and one of those is actually the character controller. So you may or may not noticed we have a fully animated and modeled 3D character controller that was also done partially mocap and hand animation. This was a big collaboration through multiple members of our team over many months, and we're super proud to have this kind of subtle but great extra level of detail to our game. And finally, while we're finishing up here, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the stigma. We realize that generally video games tend to have a negative stigma when it comes towards mental and neurological illness. In this game, we tried as much as we could to kind of approach both in a more educational and a less stereotypical way. And we think that we did a good job of making people kind of laugh and smile and appreciate the different intricacies of these different illnesses and how they may or may not function. And so this is all we have to show for you for today. But we had an amazing team working on this entire time. So can all the team members and voice actors, anyone from Vanishing Point, please come up to the front right now. So over the past year, we've had over 30 plus people working on this game, and without them, this game could have not been a success at all. So thank you guys so much for all your hard work. You really killed it, and your work shows up here. And that's all we have to show for you guys today. You can come play our game at the showcase in the SCA Gallery. Thank you so much.
They didn't rehearse the photo taking, I guess. All right, so after Vanishing Point, we're going to have Pareidolia come up, which is another game that we made, a similar sized team. So one of the things that you've heard mentioned a couple times is this notion of, will the game be released, forming a team, is absolutely not a requirement of the class. But it is absolutely a goal of every single team. And they're not graded on it, but we find that almost every team at this point is looking to find a way to push this out to have other people try it. So after you go and play it at the gallery, please give tons of feedback, because they're probably going to tweak it a little bit more before it goes out there. And so at that, you guys ready to go?
There was once a hooded traveler asleep beneath a tree.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming and watching our presentation of Pareidolia, A Cast of Shadows. So Pareidolia is a game inspired by the psychological phenomenon of the same name, the phenomenon of recognizing form in otherwise ambiguous shapes. So what we wanted to do with our game's mechanics was to capture the sort of aha moments that you might experience when you see an animal in the clouds or while you're sharing your best shadow puppets. So Pareidolia, A Cast of Shadows is a second screen puzzle platformer. Players become a shadow puppet master, manipulating props on a three-dimensional stage. The shadows of those props are then come to life in a separate two-dimensional world, and players are able to solve puzzles by interacting with the lifelike manifestations of the shadows that they've created.
Pareidolia, Cast of Shadows is a series of folk tales brought to life through the magic of a falling star and the wonders of shadow play. Each story we tell takes place at a different regional folktale, and we wanted to create worlds that both feel authentic and distinct from one another. You'll notice our 2D world would be much higher fidelity, and our 3D world would feel more realistic. That's because we wanted to make an interplay between what you see and what you can imagine is there.
Hi, I'm Josh Drika, the lead engineer, and I'll be playing the build for you today. As we said, Pareidolia is a game that uses a PC and second screen tablet, but for demonstration purposes today, I'll be playing on the PC with 2 windows open. On the right side, you'll be seeing what you would normally see on the tablet, and on the left side, you'll be seeing what you would normally see on the PC. Our demo day builds on the gallery floor will have the tablets running, and we hope you can come check it out and play the game the way it was meant to be experienced. Thanks.
So we're just going to walk through some of the levels we have. While we do so, Tim and I are going to discuss some puzzle design stuff, and Chris is just going to run us through some art and narrative bits.
Hi everyone, my name is William De La Torre, lead producer, and in the interest of time, we will only be showing selected levels and have excluded some of our cutscenes. However, we want to show you our intro cutscene to help set the mood. So without further ado, let's jump right into the demo.
Long ago, there was once a star that shone brighter than the rest, but the night sky grew jealous of its light. He cast the star to earth, where it shattered and spread to the 4 winds. Many stories were born from this fallen star. The greatest were the travelers' tales.
So, hello, my name is Tim Regattini and I'm the lead designer. This is the first level that we have from our prologue act. And one thing that we really wanted to drive home was that both of these worlds interact with each other, one of the central pillars of our game. So oftentimes when players take one action within one world, it reciprocates within the other, as you can see with the sphere prop being dragged on the screen. And oftentimes when you tap props on a 3D world, such as this pillar, they will actually react in the 2-dimensional world. And in this case, as a hint that the tree might actually fall down. So now that the sphere prop is placed on top of the hill in the 3-dimensional world, you see that the 2D boulder can be pushed down into the tree. But you can only find that it sways. So now we go back to the 3-dimensional world, and Josh will actually pull the sphere prop back towards the light source in the 3-dimensional world, making the sphere shadow, or the boulder shadow, much bigger. So when Josh pushes this boulder, what's actually going to happen is that the tree is going to fall down, unlocking a new path for the traveler to explore.
But try as the force might, it could not halt the traveler's pursuit.
So this level is one of our most important levels because it's the first in which we actually showcase our rotation mechanic. Prop rotation is very, very important to Pareidolia because as you notice, when Josh rotates this cylinder prop, not only do the shapes of the shadows the prop is casting change, but the identities of the shadows change as well. So while Josh starts with the boulder, if he rotates the cylinder prop, he can make this log bridge that he uses to cross gaps.
Pareidolia: Cast of Shadows is a framed narrative inspired by Lottie Reiniger's Prince Ahmed and 1001 Arabian Nights. The first story we tell is the Traveler's Tales, where the player controls the titular character, the Traveler, who throughout his journeys collects many pieces of a fallen star. But when he's captured by the Slavic witch Baba Yaga, he must now tell these stories to avoid becoming stew. We really wanted to make our worlds seem very vibrant and alive, so although we were making a shadow game, we really wanted to stress the idea of color and light to make our worlds each seem different. And in our prologue act, we will go through many different areas involving forest and moonlight that you'll see reflected and different from our Act 1 act.
Baba Yaga bade her intruder welcome, for she was growing hungry. Our hero produced a lotus and offered a deal instead. He would tell her the story of the flower. If the tale should please her, then he would be allowed to recover another of his stolen treasures. If not, our hero would offer himself as stew. A devious grin grew on Baba Yaga's face, and the traveler began his tale.
In our second story, players control Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. He's much more agile than the Traveler, so we reflected this through a lot of design changes. to show his capabilities, we introduced vine props, springs, and wind. And this was to really create a kind of different feel for the characters. It was really important artistically to make sure both our 2D analogs and 3D props communicate the idea of vines and these different mechanics.
So when these tales unfold, players are consistently reminded that interaction in one world often reciprocates within the other in a form of juicy feedback. So in the case of the 3D world here, Josh can actually tap a frog prop and it ribbits in the 2D world. And when he takes the box prop in the 3-dimensional world and pulls it closer to the light source, you get a much bigger shadow on the 2D side, which will break a destructible platform. So these actions enhance our platform mechanics that are present all throughout the game, whether it be in the prologue or Act 1. So the destructible objects with vines, and with, most importantly, exploring our space that has come to life. And also, one other thing to note is that lanterns are checkpoints that are present throughout all the levels, and they make transitions between 2D platforming and 3D prop manipulation seamless. So in this puzzle, we actually introduce more platform mechanics that are linked to 3-dimensional props, the spring pad and the wind field. The spring pad is a movable prop that propels a player in one direction. And in the case of the wind field, it is a static object that generates forces that either levitate a player or also propel a player in singular directions as well. So one thing that you may have actually noticed throughout the rest of these levels is that Josh has been tapping props on the 3D world that react in the 2D world. These tappable props come to life in the 2-dimensional world when they are tapped in the 3D world in a playful way. And most of the times these are really cool props. Sometimes they provide hints, but in this case, they actually help solve the puzzles. When Josh taps the wind prop as seen on the right screen in the 3-dimensional world, the speed of the fan increases in the 3-dimensional world, which actually affects how the wind field connected on the 2D side actually reacts as well. So now he can actually cross the gap and continue solving the puzzle.
The idea of touch props as our second main 3D mechanic came out of collaboration between design and writing. And as of the writing side, we want to give the players a feeling of mastery as a shadow puppeteer, which means they needed new ways to interact with their environment, such as a tappable crow or rabbit, and eventually, as our levels become more sophisticated, you'll see wind and gong tap props. One big challenge for the art was to make each world feel different. So while we're in the 2D world, we use camera and parallax to create an intimate feeling of depth. But back in the 3D world, we compose each background to fit as a somewhat like a painting. So when you can tell when each world is active.
So this is one of our personal favorite levels. We'll just have Josh walk through the rest of it here. Again, with some of the mechanics that he's learned in the past levels. So he increased the wind fields to get over to this vine on the other side. If he jumps into this wind field, it looks like it's going to push him too far. So now we know that he has to go back into the 3-dimensional world, slow down that second fan, and he should be able to get over to this gong shadow here in the center platform. When he lights the room in the 2-dimensional world, the 3-dimensional gong prop is now active, which he can use to again light up the rooms in this gong door in the 2-dimensional world and continue to solve the puzzle.
The dragon rose and engulfed the intruder in a stream of fire. Using the lotus, Wukong emerged unscathed. This gave the beast pause, and Wukong told him of his quest. The dragon agreed to aid Wukong by flying him to the summit, but upon parting, he left our hero with troubling words. Greatness is something earned, he boomed, not given.
So that concludes our demo. However, we plan to continue to build upon what our team has already created toward a commercial release. And we invite anyone interested in being a part of Pareidolia in the future to come talk to us on the show floor. But now I'd like to invite our entire team on stage.
think I can speak for everyone here in saying that this has been one of the most intense but rewarding experiences that we've ever had. And it was an immense pleasure working with all of these amazing people. And we certainly could not have accomplished nearly what we did without their unrelenting efforts. So please give them one more round of applause. Thank you.
So you've already seen a number of different platforms, starting with VR, PC combined with tablet, and now we'll go on to a pure tablet game. So you might be wondering, do we sit in the back of a faculty meeting and go, what platforms can we make them do? This all comes out of their desires, and one of the things, the challenges that they have to deal with is all of them have limitations, all of them have strengths, and so how do they take all the work that they've learned about game design, art creation, playability, and manifest that in whatever field or whatever target platform they decide to do. So let's see how King Basil's Quest turned out on tablet. Here you go.
Thanks, Larry. How am I sounding? Good? Not too loud? All right. Perfect. Great. Thank you. We need another mic. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. So, my name is Trevor Taylor. I'm the creative director of this game. This game is King Basil's Quest for the Crown of Spudly Awesomeness. I know it's a mouthful.
And I'm Calvin Drake. I'm the lead designer.
Yes. Now, King Basil's Quest for the Crown of Spudly Awesomeness is a 2D, single-player strategy game that we've been developing on the iPad for the past year. Its primary mechanic involves something that we like to call tower assault, as opposed to tower defense. The player primarily makes use of units or troops that drive their way up the field to the top of the screen to overcome the enemy opposition. Towers also play a role in the player's tool set, primarily by helping those units move up the field to beat the enemy at the top of the screen.
Driving our game for us today is Barto. Wave hi, Barto.
Hi, Barto. Now, Barto is a producer on the project. He's pulled in many a late hour helping us get this thing together. So we wanted to reward him with the chance to earn an official King Basil's Quest knighthood. As such, if he can get through the game without dying today, we have an actual fake British person on standby today to knight him. Are you ready, Barto? All right, good. He's ready. He's ready. All right. Helmet equipped. All right, you open the app?
Go ahead and tap that app icon and get it open. I'd like to add right now that we do have a fully fledged narrative in the game, so we may not be doing a lot of talking because the characters will be doing it for us.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and tap that tutorial button for us, Barton.
The crown of Spudly Awesomeness, the helm of the all-powerful ruler of our great land of Pomfret, your king, your Tater King. Your favorite neighborhood fried food franchise? Tater burgers, Spud dogs, tuber tubes, and your tots will go gaga for our new Spudly meal. And don't forget to get your crown card punched every time you order a bucket of nugs. After a mere 10,000 orders, you shall receive your very own crown of Spudly Awesomeness, granting you free nugs for life. See ya, Tater!
Warning, says consumption of fried potato product could cause heart disease, ALD, potato, and heroin. It's horrible, horrible.
Oh, mute it. I demand ye mute! I need to get a mage with DVR. Besides, I've consumed 9,999 orders of nugs and I'm fine. The hemorrhoids are hereditary. Chip, loyalist intern.
Okay, Chip. Just one last day of this god-forsaken internship.
I've got a very exciting quest for you today, Chip.
Fetching your daily bucket of nugs? Woo!
No, Chip. My final bucket. Think! Infinite fried potato goodness for the rest of my days! Isn't that a quest worthy of your internship?
According to the academic standards of my university, apparently.
All right, let's get things started. Loading screen.
have
Mercy on our souls.
one of us has to tell the king.
You are young and full of life. I will see this through. I have brought no Messiah. But why haven't you brought us?
Ugh. That was dark. Dip into the king's royal coffers to hire a new advisor.
Alright, Barto, why don't you go ahead and tap on that unit icon at the bottom of the screen and drag it up to the spawn point.
And another advisor. Basil's garbage is strong in both stench and defense. We must redirect this warrior. Halt him with a gentle tap.
Tapping on a unit will pause its movement temporarily.
Point that sign in another direction to guide his assault.
And tapping on a
Now send him on
sign
his
will
way with a pat on the back.
tapping on a sign will swap it so that units will take a different path at any fork in the road.
My hunger is your pain.
Almost got him. Forward, brave advisors.
We're gonna need a lot of advisors to get through that thick skull of Basil's.
I will eat your baby. Seriously, your firstborn. Deep fried. Tater babies. I need them for nourishment.
All tapped out cash. We've got one more chance to end this ceaseless, confusing violence. No way forward.
No way forward.
Oh, are we going to use your special unit ability?
For my fellow disposable characters, through cauldrons, tragic, not so stale, the castle news shall never fail.
Now tap and drag in the direction of that royal sloth.
Yup. It's close. Madness, so close to my crown of spudly awesomeness, and yet
tough taters. Sign my quest credit form.
no, there is another Tater King. Memories, beautiful memories flood my mind of the hungry for more and the funky franchise manager who fed me there. Chip, guide my triumphant return.
Am I really the only one here that can read a map? Sire, Hungry for More is so far away.
What else are the castle's wheels for? Rally your fellow servants! Man the hauling ropes! In Camatop, we work for our quest credit. Onwards!
You've been a business major.
Alright, well, that just about does it for our tutorial. Now that we've taught the player the basic mechanics to King Basil's quest for the Crown of Spudly Awesomeness, let's start up the game, try and get into the Hungry for More, and reach the next Tater King for some delicious nugs.
Go ahead and hit that start button. And we've separated out the tutorial and the main game here so that you guys don't have to play through the tutorial again once you hit the show floor.
Must be some other guy. See? Now that's what I call service. I'll take one bucket of nugs. Oh!
Siege! 1, start!
Boy, the Millennia here. Look out.
Alright, Barto, why don't you go ahead and spawn a couple archers to try and handle these Tater King employees. If you want to know more about them, you just tap on that unit information icon in the upper left-hand corner. You will see that these trap demons are strong against a knight unit and weak against the archers that we have spawned. Lucky us.
I can dig it.
Sire, don't forget to play with the strengths of our soldiers.
What, you mean as cannon fodder?
No, sire, by using their special unit abilities. Remember? Tap and drag?
Chip has a point. Despite the nightmare fuel, we should probably use that unit's ability.
Every unit in the game has a special ability. So similar to how the messenger could throw his scroll all the way across the screen, the archers can throw, well, themselves across the screen. This is useful for pushing archers forward up lanes, swapping between one lane and another, or alternatively, running away from any enemies that may be coming at them.
We should note that you can only use each special unit ability once.
So
per
make it
unit.
count. Alright, Barto's done a pretty good job of handling the employees so far. Just gonna get those archers into the castle and get his nugs.
Looks like we've just about got this. All right, so Barto, hit continue. Let's get some delicious nugs.
Who's the Princess of Darkness? The suave at any soiree? The manager of this Tater King? Paprika Joe!
Isaac! Stop playing with the PA system!
Sorry!
Do you see your ugly mug on that sign? As long as I'm manager, you're never gonna cross this threshold. Get out of my parking lot.
I'm not leaving without my nugs and my crown and maybe a milkshake!
Looks like this is going to be a lot harder than we thought. Loading screen.
Siege 2, begin!
Towers, Chip! I want towers!
Sire.
Build towers, Chip! Tap on those glowing Rudy thingies!
Great. More tapping.
Alright, Barto, why don't you go ahead and spawn a fireball tower for us?
Beat to your towers.
You see, there are 3 different types of towers that the player can spawn in this game, and they act as backup, having reusable abilities in order to support your troops. So, the fireball tower that Barto built here allows him to shoot a fireball all the way across the field in order to take out distant enemies. Meanwhile, the gold tower that he built in the bottom right-hand corner allows him to get gold over time, which lets him focus more on his army and building up something powerful enough to overwhelm Paprika's forces. Meanwhile, the third tower that he didn't build is the lightning tower. That one lets you take out many of the enemy troops all at once. However, they have to be close to the tower, unlike the fireball tower, which can shoot all the way across the map.
Also entering the scene, you'll notice we have a, in addition to the archer, we have a cavalry unit who punts his tiny horse, apparently gunpowder filled, long ranges to hit single-shot enemies. We also have the shield bearer unit, or the knight unit, who utilizes a shield bash ability, which is kind of a short-range shotgun blast that hits tightly clustered groups of units nearby.
Alright, Barto's doing a pretty good job of killing his units here. He's using his towers to back up his units, using that lightning tower up towards the top of the screen in order to wipe out units just as they spawn, and using the fireball tower to sort of pick off any stragglers that may be coming along, as well as using his unit abilities to, take out units as they come down the screen.
Also entering the scene, you may have already noticed we have a Disco Skull and a Nugget Mancer. These are 2 new enemy units. The Disco Skull is a fast-moving unit that can easily counter the cavalry unit's single-shot kick ability. And then sorry, I mixed that up, didn't I? The Disco Skull is super fast, and so as a result, he counters the archer's ability. And then the Nugget Mancer can spawn groups of tightly clustered nugget minions that serve as the perfect counter to the cavalry unit's single-shot kick ability.
Yep. Barto's done a pretty good job so far, though. He's destroyed all of Paprika's towers, and seems like he's about to win the game if he can just get these units into that castle.
Killing it, Barto.
You did not just complete my health bar.
Alrighty, well, that just about does it for our presentation today. We have plenty more stages to show you, including a stage challenge called the Holy Roman Boulder of Yog. If you want to see it in action, you're just going to have to play the game on the show floor yourselves. All right, Bartow, you did it. If you can head back to the main menu. Yeah. All righty. You ready to be knighted? Okay. Let's welcome our actual fake British person to the stage, Eric Pratt.
Bartow Weiss, slayer of the fearsome demo, in the name of God, of Dean Daly, and of Tracy Fullerton, I dub thee a knight of King Basil. Arise, Sir Bartow!
That's our show! Okay, can I get the whole team up here for a photo op? Come on, guys, let's do this! Let's scooch. All right, almost there. How we doing? All right?
We got a big team.
I know we do. By the way, if you want to see the full team, because this isn't everybody, you're going to want to head to King Basil. Okay, a little more? All right. You're going to want to head to kingbasilsquest.com, no apostrophe on Basil's, to see the full credits list yourselves. Awesome. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, nice job. So something I wanted to highlight really between these two games is an initiative we have here at Cinematic Arts, which is a comedy initiative. And the team, King Basil's Quest, just worked with a ton of writers who are involved in that program. And plus you'll hear a lot of humor in the next game as well. So it's great to see that blending of disciplines come across in interactive when they're also so strong in other fields. And lastly, while they finish setting up, looks like they're almost ready. I do want to thank, do we have any parents here? Or family members? Yeah. Thank you all so much for, first off, sending us your kids to come have their education with us, and then putting up when they never actually called you. As my kid, who doesn't do. Anyway, so I think we're ready to go. He's graduated. It's a long time ago. You guys ready? Yeah.
Hi, class. It's time to present your projects that you've been working on so hard all year. Who would like to raise their hand first and volunteer? No one? No one raises their hands. I'm just going to have to call on someone. Yeah, Billy over there, I really appreciate your enthusiasm, but you're not supposed to be within 25 feet of me. We talked about this. Okay. Yes, you two, get up. All right, state your names.
I'm Colin Horgan. And I'm Zed Ziaudin.
All right, please show your class the presentation on...
Yeah, actually, we ditched your assignment and we decided to make a video game instead.
You were supposed to do an annotated report on Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah, reports are boring though. We like video games better.
Yeah, so we decided not to do that and make this instead.
Wait, what's going on? What's that pizza doing?
If you would read it, he just asked us to sink our big teeth into it. Pay attention, Teach.
Howie and Yarla is a 2D action game for PC and Mac, in which players take control of Howie and Yarla, our half-teen, half-demon duo at the onset of puberty. It's a tough time for anyone, but we'll find that these two will have a peculiar set of challenges ahead of them.
Well, that pizza seems highly inappropriate. What's it doing with its cheese?
Yeah, don't worry about that. You'll see over the course of the game, Howie and Yarla will face many different enemies and demons. And this might seem scary, but it's actually okay, because Howie can actually use Yarla's tendrils to his advantage. He can use Yarla's tendrils to bite enemies, grab enemies, and throw enemies at each other. All these ways are various attacks that the players can use in combination to create massive damage and progress through the game. Yarla also has another ability in that Yarla can actually absorb enemies. Absorbing enemies regain some of the player's health, but also allows a player to access a new ability called Metamorphoses. Metamorphoses grant new powers to Jarla's tendrils. For example, we just learned the fire ability, which allows Jarla to burst into flames and shoot a heavy assault of fireballs towards the enemy. This creates a lot of damage to the enemies, but you have to be worried because when you use your Metamorphoses powers, Howie's health will actually start depleting. So there's a balancing act to be had between using your Metamorphoses and depleting health.
This whole thing seems just ridiculous.
Well, we have to ask the pizza before we eat it, otherwise it's just rude. Come on, Teach.
Alright, Max, let's eat that pizza.
Delicious.
We awake from sexy pizza tutorial dream to find Howie asleep in class. So, Howie's been going through some changes. It's been pretty uncomfortable, and he's a pretty average kid, bit of a loner, nothing special about him. But he's scared just like anyone would be about these changes. It's especially bad today, though. He's not feeling that great. He feels really hot. He's kind of hallucinating, too. It's weird. The teacher, though, interrupts her lecture about gods and demons and rituals. Nothing that has anything to do with our story, I'm sure. To tell Howie that he should probably go to the bathroom. It's not looking too good. Seems like a good idea. We decided to set Howie and Jarla in a high school setting because it's not only relatable to the whole idea of puberty and something that's instantly recognizable, but it allowed the team to play with our own memories and traumas that we had as teenagers in high school. You'll meet a lot of interesting characters along the way. I like this guy.
Wait, what kind of egghead wrote this nonsense?
That would be, I think you know him, our narrative designer, Julian Watley.
Julian? Typical.
Alright, we finally made it to the bathroom. Let's have Howie wash up because we all know he could really use it right now. Oh, what's happening? Whoa.
Wait, there's tentacles in your presentation too?
They are not tentacles. Let's be clear, they're not tentacles, they are tendrils. But first, let's introduce yourselves to Jarla. This is Howie's inner demon, but now outer demon. This is the inciting moment for Howie and Jarla that sets the stage for the rest of the game. These two have met, and they notice that maybe there's something not going very right with the school. So let's figure out what that is. And also Jarla's hungry, so she wants to eat Howie's classmates. It seems a bit chaotic, almost. Let's see what we can find. Oh, we just found a whole army of demons. And it looks like our classmate's in trouble. We should try and go save him. Let's clear out some of these guys, make a path, and save our friend. It looks like he's thankful, I guess. Oh, and there are more demons. The school is becoming infested. Remember, Howie can use Jarla's tendrils to bite, grab, and throw enemies and hurl them into each other. While you can't bite at enemies, it's actually more effective in large groups like these to grab and throw enemies. That causes a large domino effect of explosions and can clear out most of an entire room.
So we get back to the classroom and we can immediately tell that something's wrong. There's an ominous atmosphere to the place. I think we're dealing with something a lot bigger than Howie or Jarla probably realize. And Jarla's a bit disappointed. It's in this scene that we find out why Jarla emerged from Howie's back, and that she wants to get to the top of Howie's 1,001 floor school.
1,001 floors? We can barely afford 2 here.
As I said, to the top of the 1,001 floor school, open a demon portal, and take her place as the rightful demon heir of the universe. Howie is kind of pushed along for the ride, doesn't have a lot of choice, but I think there's a tiny part of him that wants to do this.
Finally, a library, a place where we can get some quiet.
Yeah, not exactly.
So, as you've just seen up here, this is the librarian. She is one of the 3 main antagonists of Howie and Jarla, and she's actually one of the 3 behind this whole demon invasion.
Howie has a good taste in music.
She actually planned out this entire invasion from the start with some other people who you'll meet later in the game. But basically, she decided to take over the library for herself and kind of put her own demon army in there. On cue. So she's aware that Jarl is trying to get to the top of the school and close the portal, which is why she will stop at nothing to make sure that Howie and Jarl don't progress through their goal.
Looks like you two are overdue.
That doesn't make any sense. But we just cleared out the room. It looks like the librarian just disappeared. And if you notice, she actually just left a journal entry. These journal entries will be scattered throughout the game, and they provide a lot of the backstory through our main villains. But we'll progress through the game right now because, reading.
Come play our game in the gallery.
Wait, how are we going to get out of here?
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of enemies here. This would be a stage towards the end of our first act, in which the players have to use everything they've learned, both about Howie and Jarla, and the enemies that we faced in order to progress. An interesting thing about Howie and Jarla's combat system is it not only requires the player to think about their relation as the player to the enemies, but also the enemies to each other. Because every action that Howie and Jarla can take relies on the enemies that we actually put in the game. So for example, we have those nerds that we just ate that have to make you hyper-aware of your own surroundings. We have these little crawly guys that rush you, but they're good as ammo to throw against other enemies. And then of course we have the big paper man, who forces you to think on your feet, play kind of smart, but at the same time it's interesting. One of the more fun enemies I think that we have is the Slimer, who you have to kind of prioritize and take out quickly, because the more space they cover on the field is left with a dangerous slime that you don't really want to walk on. But taking them out frees that space up. So we see our lead designer, Max, who's piloting the game right now, using all of his abilities, maneuvering, taking out enemies, having a pretty good time, it looks like. See if you can get that guy.
Lots of fun. There's a lot of chaos in our game. Oh, looks like the librarian's back. Seems like we just got thrown into detention. And really bad puns. So in this section of the game, we actually added another objective for the player. It's not just about clearing the enemies. Howie and Jarla have to break out of detention. They're going to try and do that by breaking this large wall over here. We introduced this objective to kind of introduce a new goal for the player. It's not just about clearing groups of enemies. We want to kind of shake things up a bit. So not only does Max have to worry about breaking this wall, he also has to kind of worry about using his metamorphoses of losing all his health and then fighting off the enemies and then regaining their health too. It's a bit of a balancing act here that we thought would kind of shake things up for the player. But it looks like we just cleared the detention wall. Explosions are awesome. Boom. So let's break out of detention. Try not to die on the way out. And now we're at a safe room. Here we can talk to some classmates, see what they have to say. We got some journal entries here too. Yeah, let's talk to this guy. I like playing games. Oh. Reading. Again, we can save our room here, and saving also regains a lot of our health. And also, I think it might be time for a big battle coming up. That's usually what save rooms think of. So, let's move on. Let's see what we got past this door.
Looks like you two are about to enter the danger zone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, librarian's pretty ticked off at this point. She's gonna pull out all the stops to try to stop Howie and Jarla. Like any good video game, and with the boss battle.
Whoa, that thing's huge.
Yeah, so we present the player with a much bigger enemy, a lot more dangerous. We can't use our normal tactics. We can't just grab it and throw it. That'd be too easy. So Max has to use everything at his disposal, including switching between Howie solo, who can run around the battlefield, and Howie and Jarla, who, take the guys, grab them, eat them, recharge, use the fire meta, burn down that paper monster. Don't get wrecked, Max.
Again, there's a balancing act to be had here. Max is relying a lot on his Metamorphosis powers, but every time he uses that, his health depletes. So he's going to have to take some time away from the boss to fight these lower enemies and regain some of the health that way. But it looks like we almost got him down.
Come on, Max.
Almost there, and we did it! So Teach, how'd we do?
That was really fun.
Yeah!
But you know how that wasn't part of the assignment, and you know how much I hate creative individual thinking, so I'm gonna give you 2 an F.
What? Okay, we'll take that.
And we couldn't have gotten this failing grade without our wonderful team, our professors, USC Games. There's a lot of love to be had and a lot of great work that went into this, and I want all of them to get the recognition they deserve.
We'd like to invite our team up here, take their bows and a photo, and we also like to remind all of you that this game will be playable on the show floor, as well as the entirety of the second act of this game, so please check it out.
Come on, everyone, get up and show your team spirit!
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for
How do you
coming.
do it?
All right, thank you. That's great. Okay, so, hey, we're done in here. Let's go outside, get some little bit of vitamin D, and then go into the Lloyd Gallery, Lloyd Lobby, and then the demo day is in the gallery itself. So please come play with us. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it.